Folks, we have a full agenda today, so I want to very briefly go over some procedural rules because time is of the essence. Testimony today, other than those presenting the bills, will be limited to 1 minute. It pains me to do that. I know that's not much time, but we just don't have time to spare. We will present Senate Bill 1263 first. We will not vote on it. We will then present House Bill 583. There will be no vote at that time. The committee will then deliberate and vote on Senate Bill 1263. Then we will deliberate and vote on House Bill 583. Up next is Senate Bill 1263. Senator Harris, welcome to committee, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Introduction, Mark Harris, Idaho State Senate, Legislative District 35, here to present Senate Bill 1263. Mr. Chairman, I do have some handouts. If I could ask the pages to hand those out. Real quick, Mr. Chairman, committee. So Senate Bill 1263 concerns local control and short-term rentals. There's a quote I came upon a few months ago that's kind of stuck with me. I'd just like to share that with you. It says, when rights conflict, neither shall cancel the other. Both must be balanced legally and negotiated respectfully to protect essential freedoms. And I think that's what this bill does, 1263. So currently, cities and counties pass ordinances to regulate land use and zoning. Some include ordinances governing short-term rentals. And this is especially true in resort cities where there are lots of short-term rentals mixed in neighborhoods with families. Ideally, these ordinances should balance the private property rights of families and long-term residents with the private property rights of short-term rental owners. However, in some parts of the states, we've seen ordinances go too far and disregard the rights of one group over another. Why does this concern me, or why am I interested in this as Legislative District 35 is ground zero for this issue? Mm-hmm. I've got 2 resort cities and a county that's experiencing a lot of growth in the short-term rental field. We've seen bills trying to address this issue the last couple of years. The first year it died in the House, last year it died in the Senate. But this bill aims to balance these competing private property rights, ensuring that local ordinances won't overburden short-term rentals, while also recognizing the rights of local families and citizens. So the bill includes sensible business license provisions for those operating as a business without burdening individuals who just want to rent their cabin on an occasion. It allows a city or county to request an emergency contact info for short-term rental owners, and it provides common sense fire, carbon monoxide, health safety provisions, and no sprinklers or hardwired systems. Beyond that, cities and counties would be prohibited from passing ordinances on short-term rentals beyond what applies to local residencies. So just a quick walk through the bill, Mr. Chairman. Lines 121 to 31 distinguishes between small mom-and-pop short-term rentals and large investor-based short-term rental businesses. It would prohibit cities from requiring STRs to have business licenses unless the owner has 4 or more in a single jurisdiction, or they earn more than $10,000 revenue in a year. Page 1, lines 32 through 35 would allow the local city or county to request contact information for the STR owners or operators. They could contact in case of an emergency or a problem. And then lines 36 to page 2 to line 14 creates a narrow scope of health and safety provisions a city or county could impose if the locals want it. And then line 39, subsection pertains to fire safety. And page 2, 4 to 5 is basic carbon monoxide detectors. And maximum occupancy limits can't be more than stringent than what is allowed for non-transient residences by Idaho's fire and building codes. And then page 2 and 10 and 14, it provides renters with safety information. Page 2, lines 15 to 19, prohibits the city or county from imposing any other ordinances on short-term rentals beyond what applies to local residencies. And then the last part is the standard liability language for both STR owners and local governments. Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, I would like to yield the rest of my time to Mr. Jade Riley.
Senator, that would be fine.
Thank you, Senator Harris, for yielding your time. Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Jade Riley. I am representative of the Idaho Resort Cities Coalition, representing over 20 communities from Lava Hot Springs to Sandpoint. I want to first start with clarity. Resort cities support short-term rentals. Short-term rentals have been in our community well before the new fancy tech platforms managing those short-term rentals. And we understand what those short-term rentals mean to our local economy. Our North Star has been ensuring public safety for those visitors or customers utilizing the short-term rental and protecting the property rights of neighbors. Examples that are in this legislation before, the focus has been making sure people have smoke detectors, CO2 detectors, and most importantly, we have a dependable way to enforce complaints or compliance related to those short-term rental units. We realize this body has had serious concerns. That is why we've been at the table in earnest over the last 3 years with the concerned parties, attempting to find a middle ground. We have said several times, and we will again put on the record, we are willing to live by Airbnb's national playbook that outlines ideal regulatory environment. Furthermore, our member cities have responded to either the recent Supreme Court ruling or the last couple of years, verbal concerns expressed by this body have went into action. McCall adjusted its land use policies around short-term rentals. Sandpoint adjusted its policies. We stand ready to continue to take feedback and make adjustments to balance the rights as mentioned earlier. We would ask you not to support the House bill as we view it as too restrictive. While our coalition does not maybe love every aspect of the Senate bill, we fully understand this body is looking to find a middle ground, and we find Senate Bill 1263 to be reasonable. Senate Bill 1263 ensures a common sense approach while ensuring we have a way to contact the owner and ensure compliance on elements of this legislation. It also importantly addresses infrastructure concerns, whether that be sewer or water. We respectfully ask the committee to find middle ground to ensure ongoing public safety for visitors utilizing short-term rentals, as well as property taxpayers who live next to short-term rentals. Several of our members will testify today, giving you clear examples of public safety concerns and resident concerns that have been addressed by city regulations and how this legislation could alter that moving forward. Last but not least, again, we take this body's concerns very seriously, and we stand ready to partner to find a middle ground. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions of the committee.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Committee, any questions for Mr. Riley? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Senator Harris, would you like to come up and maybe take some questions or have closing remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll stand for questions, but I respectfully request the committee consider this bill and send it to the floor.
Okay, thank you. Committee, any questions for Senator Harris? No? Seeing none, we will take some testimony now. I would ask that you please avoid any redundant testimony. Please speak your mind when you come up, but I just ask that you be civil, that's all. Mr. Rusty Cuddeback, welcome, sir. If you would, for the record, please introduce yourself and you have 1 minute. Thank you.
Chairman and members of the committee, my name is Rusty Cuddeback. I live and work in Bear Lake County, and I'm here today in opposition of Senate Bill 1263. My career is the short-term rental industry, and to be completely honest, this bill scares me. My ability to support my wife and my son depends on having stability in my work. My fear is the uncertainty this creates if cities are allowed to handle short-term rentals very differently. I'm concerned my local cities may move toward the kind of restrictions we've seen in Lava Hot Springs. and that makes it difficult for me to not be concerned about my future. When rules vary from place to place, it becomes difficult to plan, to give clear answers, and to build something stable. I just want a chance to keep building a stable future for my family. I respectfully ask the committee to hold Senate Bill 1263 in committee.
Thank you, sir. Committee, any questions? Senator Lenny?
Thank you. Can you just briefly, I know we have a lot, but we're under a time constraint, but can you briefly tell us what's going on in Lava Hot Springs that you referenced?
Mr. Cutterback?
Sorry, Senator Lenny. It is the restrictions on occupancy rates and parking. And I haven't read the entire bill. I was actually just reading it. So that's as far as I had gotten.
Seeing no further questions, thank you for your testimony, sir. Lynn Fleming? Welcome. For the record, if you would, please introduce yourself, and the floor is yours for a whole minute.
Hi, I'm Lynn Fleming. I'm Planning and Zoning Commissioner in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and I'm passionate. S1263 is a simple yes. Keep local control that protects all the people and property involved in and affected by short-term rentals. S1263 outlines best practices regarding life safety and property rights for all, with minimal impact on high-income enterprises run by short-term rentals. H583 should be a full stop no. STRs are operating businesses in established residential neighborhoods, demanding no tracking or promoting at-will safety standards is reckless and sometimes deadly. These STR house structures are not homes. They do not house local voters, school attendees, or citizens of our cities. They are freestanding, unique hotel keys and therefore should be identified and tracked for life safety and best practices. In a state that touts small government and do not tread on me, H583 is treading all over the citizens that are sharing that city with the world.
Thank you, ma'am. We're going to have to ask you to close real quick if you could.
Quickly, and forced to police their adjacencies. I live next door to a short-term rental. Vote yes on S1263, no on H583.
Thank you, ma'am. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you for being here. Thank you for your testimony. Colby Nielsen. Welcome to committee. If you would, for the record, please introduce yourself, and you have 1 minute, sir.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, my name is Colby Nielsen. I am the mayor of McCall. Thank you for the time today. House Bill 583 is too restrictive for resort communities. Please don't pass it. If a change must be made, Senate Bill 1263 is more reasonable. Those pushing HB 583 say our short-term rules go too far, and I disagree. Safety standards save lives. In Valley County, we had an incident where a man was forced to stand by and hear his wife and children trapped under a fireplace as they screamed while they were being burned to death due to an explosion that was caused by a homeowner repair. This could have been easily solved by a simple inspection. In safety inspections work, we've gone from over 50 hospital transports for carbon monoxide poisonings before our ordinance went into action, and since then it's dropped to nearly zero. All of those were coming from short-term rentals. To requiring a local property contact is essential to reduce the impact on our limited emergency response and police resources. Without a local contact, police act as de facto property managers. They're being called out to unnecessary calls that could be easily resolved with a local contact.
If you could close for us, sir, appreciate it.
Since our ordinance passed in 2022, we have added almost 100 STRs, now have almost 440 in our town. Our requirements are not burdensome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Appreciate your testimony. August Christensen.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Guthrie.
while she's coming up, if the presenters could get really close to the mic, I know some are having a hard time hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman and Committee. My name's August Christensen. I'm the mayor of Driggs. I support Bill 1263. Many of my constituents are concerned about House Bill 583 due to the lack of identifying a local contact and just going too far. This would overburden our local sheriff's department with undue calls from concerned neighbors. These calls could otherwise be handled by the city connecting with the owner directly or a local contact for the 60% of short-term rental owners that live out of state in my town. This is not about taking away short-term rentals or not. This is about resources and keeping our visitors safe. Multiple short-term rental owners and managers in my town feel the same. They do not want a hard line. They want to work with the community and be part of our community. Resort cities have worked together to compromise with 1263. Please vote to support Idaho and its residents. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you, ma'am, for coming. Appreciate your testimony. Daniel Murphy. Welcome. Please introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Daniel Murphy out of Boise. Senate Bill 1263 is a last-ditch effort, a Hail Mary pass by cities, counties, and their lobbyists to thwart the great and stellar efforts of so many short-term rental business owners who have fought so hard for 3 sessions for their bill 583. Basically, you've seen the statement of purpose and the legislation. There's restrictions and discrimination in those 2 pieces of information that you get online. Okay. Basically, I know some towns and some larger cities love ordinances and restrictions, especially ones that discriminate against some of the population. And tourist towns and cities should want to make it easier for their tourism industry to thrive and prosper. Well, what I'm going to say is I'm hoping that 1263 fails. And with 0 seconds on the clock, I strongly encourage this committee to make sure Senate Bill 1263 Hail Mary pass falls incomplete. Thank you.
Thank you, committee. Any questions? Thank you, sir. Spencer K. Bailey. Welcome. For the record, please introduce yourself, and we can give you 1 minute, sir.
Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Spencer Bailey. I'm a full-time resident in Bear Lake. I'm an alpaca farmer, and I also serve as the president of the Idaho Vacation Rental Association. I respectfully ask that 1263 be held in committee. I've had thoughtful conversations with my good senator, the sponsor of this bill, and I respect his intent to solve these problems. But here's what worries me. 1263 doesn't address the hardship and overreach we are currently experiencing in Bear Lake. If I want to short-term rent my home, I'm required to asphalt my private driveway. If I long-term rent it or live in it myself, I don't have those same requirements. Same house, same driveway, same neighborhood. This kind of unequal treatment we're experiencing in Bear Lake, frankly, 1263 doesn't address these problems. I drove here from 6 hours away, leaving my pregnant wife to help share how important this issue is to everyday Americans, and especially Idahoans themselves. I could stand here a lot longer and walk you through what we're seeing across Idaho, but I've only got 1 minute. I believe we can protect neighborhoods. We can create different, but without creating different classes of homeowners. For those reasons, I respectfully ask you not to advance Senate Bill 1263.
Thank you, sir. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony, sir. Joseph Hill. Welcome. Please introduce yourself, and you have 1 minute, sir.
Well, my name is Joseph Hill, and I'm here to ask you to oppose Senate Bill 1263. For the last 3 years, we actually have tried sitting down and meeting with the people, and unfortunately, we've been denied at every turn. Unfortunately, our owners have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to go through the CUP process when the city of McCall changed the cap down to 10. The language in Senate Bill 1263 will cap occupancy to 10. That loophole in the code going from 10 to 11 creates a code shift from R3 to R1, which are commercial standards. The Senate Bill 1263 will engineer a financial nightmare. This is death by 1,000 cuts is what we're going to be experiencing if 1263 comes to fruition. Please hold 1263 in committee. It will only exacerbate the problem we are experiencing across the state. I will stand if you have any questions.
Thank you, sir. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir. Appreciate you being here today. We'll try to take a virtual testifier here next. Mr. Wallace, can you hear the committee all right? We can't hear you. You might have muted your microphone. No, still can't hear you. Can you hear us okay? Head nod. Yeah, looks like you're still on mute. Okay, it looks like we're not going to be able to work it out. We're time limited today, sir, so we're going to have to move on, but I do appreciate you making the effort to testify. Julie Hill. Welcome. Please introduce yourself, ma'am.
Julie Hill, Lava Hot Springs, and I respectfully ask that you hold Senate Bill 1263 in committee. The bill is framed as allowing reasonable land use regulation, but current Idaho code addresses reasonable regulations. The guardrails are already there. However, cities are crashing into them and in some cases, running right over the top with what they consider to be reasonable. Lava Hot Springs. They were taken to court for their overreaching ordinances and lost, and yet they persist. Their new 16-page ordinance, which I have here if anyone would like to see it, passed after the Supreme Court decision, adds additional reasonable requirements, including citywide caps imposed on non-owner occupied rentals, and when the cap is reached, permits and property rights are issued via a random lottery. They limit short-term rentals to one per parcel, regardless of the number of housing units on that parcel, and they do not allow any improvements to a short-term rental. Property owners are required to consent to random inspections by anyone the mayor designates without notice or probable cause as a condition to obtaining a business license. And under their current ordinance, they can impose any other condition the city deems necessary or reasonable. The result is a system that restricts and rations property rights and targets short-term rentals for their regulations that do not apply to similar residential uses of property, including long-term rentals.
Thank you, ma'am. If you could close quickly, we'd appreciate
The
it.
cities need better guardrails, not a wider road. Thank you. Please oppose
Ma'am,
the
committee,
bill.
any questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony, ma'am. We appreciate it. I'm going to end the testimony at this point because we're on a strict timeline here. Senator Harris, do you have anything that you'd like to add at this time, or do you want to wait until we deliberate for further questions? Thank you. At this time, we'll take up House Bill 583. Senator Lakey. Welcome, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Senators. Always a pleasure to be in front of you. Todd Lakey, State Senator from District 23. Senators, I bring House Bill 83, and this legislation comes, as was described, as a result of a multi-year effort, efforts to compromise and find an appropriate path. But it also comes after a pattern of cities inappropriately targeting short-term rental properties, trying to eliminate or improperly restrict those uses under current code. These homes or residences are often part of someone's small business. It's an opportunity to earn additional income or help pay a mortgage on a second home, and it promotes economic development and tourism. Myself and my family, we've used Airbnb or VRBO many times, and it's a great option. It's more economical often than a hotel. It's more comfortable. It's like living in a house. And the use is the same. People living there, occupying it, using it, whether it's a short-term or a long-term basis. In all my experience, the property owners and the platforms are very responsive. They have rules against parties or disruptive activities. They want to protect their property rating, their value, and their reviews, just like I want to protect my 5-star rating. Are there occasional bad actors? Certainly. but that's what local ordinances are for. Those local ordinances provide reasonable, consistent restrictions for residential uses that protect the overall property values and property rights. Local government authority and police powers should be used in that way. You have examples of zoning ordinances, nuisance ordinances, disturbing the peace, parking, occupancy requirements, noise ordinances, and building codes. And Senators, in 2017, taking you back for some of you that were here at that time, the legislature noticed a problem with government overreach in regard to short-term rentals. And the legislature passed the Short-Term Rental and Vacation Rental Act. And I'll call that the Act as I'm talking today. But the message was clear. The use is important to the state of Idaho and our economy, and they are to be treated as residential uses, and they are not to be targeted or treated differently. I want to read you, Senators, this is the intent of the Act in 63-1802. It says this act is designed to promote access to short-term rentals and vacation rentals by limiting local government authority to prohibit these beneficial property uses or to specifically target them for regulation, except in circumstances that are necessary to safeguard public health and welfare. This act is also designed to preserve personal property rights and promote property owner access to platforms offering these properties as short-term rentals. The act also included Senator 6539, which is what we're looking at today, that says short-term rentals are to be treated as residential land uses for zoning purposes. I think the language was pretty clear, but obviously there's a pattern deviating from that legislative intent. There's been efforts again to prohibit, restrict, or target these or treat them differently than other residential uses. There was recent litigation. Appreciate the individual that came and talked from Lava Hot Springs. I'll give you a little background about that case. That city had passed an ordinance stating that short-term rentals that were not occupied by the owner or the manager had to be located in commercial zones, not residential zones, commercial zones, and you had to get a business license to do it. The city argued that they could do this because it was necessary to promote health, safety, and welfare. And the Supreme Court struck down that ordinance and disagreed. The court said the legislative intent in adopting the act is not just to further access to some short-term or vacation rentals within a city, but to all of them. The court also said the act is to be construed to preserve personal property rights and promote property owner access to platforms offering their properties as short-term rentals. So this is a particularly bad example, but in a pattern of government overreach. We're at a point where we need further clarification and emphasis of those principles in the original act. That's the bill that we have today. Senators, I'll just go through the bill briefly. On page 1, it emphasizes that you can't take action prohibiting any type of short-term rental. On page 2, line 17, you can enact necessary ordinances to safeguard public health and safety as long as you don't impose different restrictions or obligations on short-term rentals than those that are imposed on residential uses. And then you'll see on line 29, Senators, that's a list of things. And that list came from examples of local governments either violating the intent of the act and establishing those things or attempting to do so. I'll just mention some of them. The list, a non-exclusive list, says you can't require that an owner occupy the residence. You can't require more insurance be purchased. You can't require reporting of uses or statistics. You can't require a number of days limiting when they can be rented. And you can't restrict the number of short-term rentals in the city or the county. And then further down, you can't require a business license, a fee, a permit, certification, or registration for a short-term rental. Senators, you have zoning ordinances and building codes that apply. You shouldn't have to get another piece of paper called a business license or be on a list to function and operate within city limits if you comply with those other codes. There's also a list of things that you can do that are treating them differently but that are appropriate. And I'll just mention those. You can require smoke detectors in sleeping areas and rooms. You can require fire extinguishers and carbon monoxide detectors. You can have maximum occupancy limits as long as they comply with the adopted building code. And you can have fire escape ladders on the second floor. Senators, they can also require an informational handout for the tenants. That includes the location of the exits, the fire extinguishers, any first aid kits, and a phone number for the owner. Senators, I don't know if you've used an Airbnb or a VRBO, but when I go in, one of the first things I see on the table is a notebook, and the notebook has all of that information, essentially. Or it's something that's on a magnet on the refrigerator, or it's a piece of paper on the wall. So that contact information is readily available. It also includes house rules, the Wi-Fi password, things like that. This legislation is needed to clarify the intent of the Short-Term Rental Act and make sure that local governments are not discriminating against these short-term rentals as residential uses and treating them differently. I'd ask for your vote on House Bill 583. Senators, I would like to turn some of my time over to Melissa Radford.
That's fine, Senator. Thank you. Welcome. Please, for the record, introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman, Foreman, and Committee. My name is Melissa Radford. My husband Jeremy and I live in Coeur d'Alene, and I'm here to ask you to support House Bill 583. We purchased an old neglected house near Coeur d'Alene and spent 2 years renovating it. It is now a beautiful home, and we enjoy sharing it with visitors. We decorate our home at Christmas time. We keep it clean, safe, and attractive year-round for our neighbors and guests. H583 is the result of 3 years of work to create clear and unambiguous protections for short-term rental owners' private property rights against increasing discrimination and overreach by local governments across Idaho. Last year, we offered some good faith compromises, including a 3 strikes clause and mandatory licensing, but you rightly rejected them on the Senate floor. Those provisions violated vicarious liability protections and treated property rights like privileges to be purchased from the government. House Bill 583 fixes those flaws. It delivers robust property rights protections while allowing fair, equal application of legitimate safety and community standards that apply to all homes, not just vacation rentals. We've heard heartbreaking stories of discrimination and overreach from hosts across Idaho, some of whom you will hear from today. We've tried engagement at City Council statewide, only to face ordinance after ordinance that unfairly target certain property owners in arbitrary ways. Homeowners have spent tens to hundreds of thousands on lawyers, lawsuits, and forced modifications to the physical structure of their property, targeted and burdensome regulations only required because they are using their homes as their private properties as a short-term rental. I would not be standing here 3 years in a row if this wasn't an existential crisis and a violation of property rights that only you can remedy. Every effort has been made to solve these issues locally and through expensive court proceedings. The current patchwork approach of unaccountable overregulation targeting certain types of property owners needs to end. That's why we are here. We need your help, and H583 is the solution. Our co-sponsor list for H583 includes 35% of the entire Idaho legislature. Support for our common sense solutions is overwhelming. Please send House Bill 583 to the Senate floor with a strong do pass recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Committee, any questions? Seeing none. Senator Nichols.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, didn't have it up all the way. Just one quick question. Thank you for being here. I just wanted to find out, so you have a property that you use for an Airbnb. Is it available like 365 days out of the year type thing? And how much would you say your annual revenue is off of
Ms.
that?
Radford.
Senator Foreman and Senator Nichols. Yes, it's rented 365 days a year, and I'm not going to disclose how much it makes because I think that's a privacy issue, but it's more than $10,000, so the other bill would capture 100%, a very high percentage of all.
Thank you. Follow-up, Senator? Nothing? Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you very much for your testimony. Senator Lakey, any further comments? Okay, we'll take some testimony, and then if you'd like to come up and close after that, be more than welcome. We'll take some testimony now. Spencer K. Bailey. Welcome again.
Thank you. Chairman, members of the committee, Spencer Bailey again. House Bill 583 provides clarity I believe Idaho needs. It affirms that residential property remains residential property while preserving local authority to enforce nuisance, safety, and infrastructure laws. My wife and I built our life in Bear Lake because we believe in stewardship. Vacation rentals allowed us to stay rooted, to employ local families, contribute to our community, and to own our land. I'm a two-time cancer survivor, and subsequently I founded a nonprofit called Cabins for Cancer, where we give Idaho families a no-cost retreat to heal and bond. I've seen firsthand how these homes serve families in moments that matter most. This bill protects that balance, accountability where there's harm, equal treatment where there isn't. We can protect neighborhoods without creating different classes of homeowners. For that reason, I respectfully ask that you support House Bill 583. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony, sir. Randy Banglin, welcome, sir. Please introduce yourself for the record and have 1 minute.
Randy Banglin, Lava Hot Springs, Idaho, served on city council for a number of years. One of the senators asked what's going on in Lava Hot Springs. Well, long before the state got involved, the city saw the need for short-term rentals. There's only 200 houses in Lava Hot Springs. So the city organized 3 areas, the business area, the short-term rental area, and the residential area. How are those areas doing now? Business area, 500,000 to 600,000 visitors a year. Short-term rental area, 70 houses, about 50% of them are short-term rentals. I list these houses for sale, $25,000, $35,000, $45,000 gross revenue. Residential area is doing great. It's quiet, it's peaceful. We don't have sidewalks. My kids walk on the road to school. We separated these areas, and it's smart planning. Lava is a case study for what happens if you don't smartly plan communities. Half of those houses, short-term rentals in the short-term rental area. If we don't have some kind of barrier, the entire residential area will become 50% short-term rentals. When I list a house, first 10 calls I get, can I do a short-term rental? All 801 numbers, 435 numbers. We need to have smart planning. Neither of these bills address that, especially not the House bill presented today. Open to questions.
Thank you, sir. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony, sir. Krista Pedersen, welcome to committee. If you would please introduce yourself. And you have 1 minute, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairman and committee. My name is Krista Pedersen from Meridian, and I'm asking you to support House Bill 583. I own 2 furnished rentals, and over the years, I've had the privilege of hosting many families in crisis. Most were displaced by disaster, floods, and fire. Others came seeking cancer treatment, adoption of a newborn, attending funerals, or sitting beside a loved one in their final days. What begins as 4 walls and a roof becomes a refuge where families can cook together, grieve together, and celebrate together. It's a remarkable gift that a house, when opened with care, can multiply its purpose, becoming a home and respite for many. Please take this into consideration as you contemplate House Bill 583.
Thank you, ma'am. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you, ma'am, for your testimony. Juan Bonilla, welcome. Please introduce yourself, and you have 1 minute, sir.
Thank you. Juan Bonilla, Donley Rural Fire Protection District Fire Chief. For the last 20 years, on the department for 30 years, been fighting fire for 36. I'm also the emergency manager for Valley County for the last 10 years. My entire career, since I became an adult, has been to prepare and plan preventative and incident response when it comes to all hazard mitigation in Valley County. All 3 districts are concerned and always care about short-term rental properties. We've had multiple incidences of mass casualty because of improper safety standards. I would say that both bills that we're talking about today meet some of those safety standards, but don't meet those that have created those mass casualty because it's incomplete. Just one idea of why it's incomplete is the use of gas detectors, because carbon monoxide detectors do not detect gas leaks. So we've had multiple patients, up to 50 patients in one home because of it. The International Code Council sees short-term rentals as transient, and I think that because those people are unfamiliar with the layout, the window, the door use, heating system, detection system, or escape routes.
Okay, if you could quickly close, sir, I'd appreciate it.
So the Donley Rural Fire Protection District, the chiefs in McCall and Cascade, and the Valley County Emergency Management would like you to add to those safety standards and have those conversations with those individuals that inspect those or have authority into responding to those. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you, sir, for your Testimony, Heather Andrews. Welcome. If you would please introduce yourself, and you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Heather Andrews. I'm the Western Regional Director for Americans for Prosperity and standing in strong support of House Bill 583. This bill brings much needed clarity and fairness to the regulation of short-term rentals in Idaho. It prevents local governments from imposing excessive or discriminatory requirements such as owner-occupied mandates, arbitrary caps on rental days, burdensome parking rules, or conditional use permits that go beyond what is required of other residential properties. Short-term rental owners should not be singled out for more restrictive treatment than similarly situated homeowners. Importantly, this bill preserves local authority to address legitimate concerns. In the bill, cities and counties may still enforce health and safety standards, occupancy limits, and nuisance laws to protect neighbors and communities. At its core, this legislation defends fundamental property rights, reduces unnecessary government interference, and expands economic opportunity for Idaho homeowners while maintaining essential public safety protections. I respectfully urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Committee, any questions? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Lynn Fleming.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator.
Just for an inquiry, there are many people here that probably won't be able to testify. Would it be okay if we reserve the remaining time for those who haven't already testified and who have traveled a long way to testify?
We can do that. We'll let you after
My
you.
flu on my dime.
Right. We'll give you. I think, Senator, what I'm going to do is just maintain control of that and try to space it out, pro and con. And I'm trying to give preference to the people who are here because they probably expended funds to get here. You'll notice I haven't been taking all but one virtual because I want to give preference to the people who had to spend money and time to come here. So if you would proceed, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Regarding H583, I design resort hotels around the world. The priority with Marriott, Hyatt, St. Regis, life safety, exiting, fire exiting, safety from buried basement bedrooms without a window well, slip and fall. That was my mandate as director of design at Marriott. It's life safety first and foremost for all these people who roll in the door. When they land in our city in Coeur d'Alene, they're at a party hardy, and they do stupid things. They drink too much, they commit crimes, they run around naked. We're well aware of that, but we aren't well aware of it if we don't know where they are. We also have some water bodies that have difficult access to get in ambulances and fire trucks. And we see it, and we know it in our city. So our police are called out a lot. And if they don't have a contact name, if they don't have an address, and they are searching around our weird roads in our backwoods, they can't find that house. I've had cottages go up in flames. So please be aware that we need life safety first, and we need engagement by our city and our county. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Senator Nichols, do you have a question?
Yes, just one quick question for the lady.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. Just really quick, since you have experience with the hotel industry, I just wanted to find out, do you know what, places that, online apps and things like that do the short-term rentals, what do they require as far as safety and things along those lines?
Ms. Fleming?
Depends from district to district and area to area. That's what we're looking for, is at least meet the minimum codes, and this 583 does not do that. They are leaving it at will on what that owner will do to that home. A lot of Coeur d'Alene, we have some very old homes, and they are fire hazards when they're lead-based paint, wallpapered with 3 layers. They go up like a torch. I know because the Empress Hotel in Victoria, my client, we had a whole fire inside the hotel and went up so fast, nobody could get out. They're jumping out of windows.
And just to follow up, Mr. Chairman, briefly.
Follow up.
So what requirements do Airbnb and Vrbo and stuff require people to have in order to utilize their services?
Light touch. We don't overstep. We're trying not to overstep the rights of the owners of those Airbnbs, but we do need smoke detectors. We do need exit routes. We do need notification on where to go in a fire. And in basements, we have to have window wells. We have to get out of those locked-in boxes, and we have to get off second floors. So we are very aware of making sure they leave not in a box out of our city, but alive and well. And that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. And just a statement on that, Mr. Chairman. So I appreciate her answering the question in regards to what the local municipalities want to have. My question is more of what is required by like Airbnb for people to utilize their services.
Familiar with Airbnb and all the
Okay.
different vendors that we have. I mean, there's not a national code. We do have national building codes. We have to adhere to that. When I renovate a house, I have to meet that current code. The minute the inspector comes in, I have to bring it up to that code. And a lot of this new regulation is not going to do that. They're trying to skirt that.
Thank you. Senator Zito, do you have a question?
I just have a real quick question. When you come in and redo these homes and you're going to use them as a short-term rental, obviously you're not taking a homeowner's exemption because they're extra homes. Do you have to insure differently? Do you have to have an insurance policy so that if the house burns down or life is lost or something like that, the insurance policy would cover that above or different or in addition to regular homeowners insurance?
The person's question, I would hope they do, but I can't answer that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, ma'am, for your testimony. Going to have to terminate the testimony at this point based on timing. Senator Lakey, any closing remarks?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senators, again, Todd Lakey, State Senator from District 23. Just hit a couple of points. Senators, some of the compromises that we incorporated into this legislation include the safety issues that some of these folks talked about. They can require smoke detectors, a carbon monoxide detector, fire extinguisher. In that handout, they're supposed to show where the exits are located, even a fire extension ladder. And then you still have building and fire codes that apply equally to residential development, just like they apply to these. Some of the examples, as I was visiting with someone in the audience more familiar with some of those specifics that were raised, relate to a contractor error which has nothing to do with the short-term rental, or just a bad decision made by a person. It doesn't matter if it's a short-term rental or a long-term rental or a homeowner. Being able to reach out and contact, again, these property owners is pretty easy. If they even the city just tried to rent the house, they'd be in contact with that property owner very easily. Sometimes government's first reaction is we need to regulate instead of trying to find a solution short of regulation. In the discussion of property rights, there's always, I agree, there's two sides to that coin. But when it comes to government regulation, intruding on someone else, that's about protecting the property right of that individual homeowner, that individual property owner from that government regulation. When it comes to protecting the property rights of others, that's what the general regulations are for. Your noise ordinance, your nuisance code, your occupancy limits, your parking requirements, all of those things apply to protect everybody else. But we need to be careful of government's intrusion on the individual property owner. And lastly, Senators, again, this is about the lighter touch of government that we like in Idaho. Again, in 2017, we passed the act. There's been numerous examples of local government violating the intent and the provisions of that act. The list of things in the code describes some of those things. That message is not being heard. We need this clarification and strengthening of the original intent, and that's why we're bringing this legislation forward with the compromises that were appropriate. I'd ask for your aye vote on House Bill 583, and happy to answer questions if you have them.
Thank you, Senator. Committee, any further questions this time for Senator Lakey? Seeing none, thank you. The committee will now address Senate Bill 1263. The chair will entertain any further discussion and/or a motion on Senate Bill 1263. Senator Guthrie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move that Senate Bill 1263 be sent to the floor with a due pass recommendation.
Okay, committee, we have a motion to send Senate Bill 1263 to the floor of the Senate with a due pass.
Mr. Chairman, for a substitute motion?
Substitute motions in order.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we hold Senate Bill 1263 in committee.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion from Senator Lakey, seconded by Vice Chair Lenny, to hold Senate Bill 1263 in committee.
And Mr. Chairman, I just needed
Senator
to
Nichols.
declare 39H, Rule 39H, please. I do these as part of my business, Airbnb.
Understood.
short-term.
39H, that will be in the record. Thank you, Senator. Committee, any discussion on the substitute motion to hold Senate Bill 1263 in committee?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Ward Engelking?
just for comment, I think we've probably had a lot of discussion, but I guess I'm pretty disappointed to see there hasn't been a compromise bill here. I think there should have been room to find compromise. I'm actually leaning towards voting for both bills and letting the battle begin on the floor, because I think there's a lot of moving parts in this, and I don't feel like an expert in this field. So anyway, just thought I'd say that.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Senator Guthrie?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'd echo a little bit what Senator Ward Engelking just offered. It's always frustrating to me when we have an issue that has far-reaching implications, and there really, from the point I was involved, no effort to meet somewhere where it made sense for both bills. So I'm greatly disappointed in that as well. I think this is a lose-lose situation.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Lakey?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've also watched both of these efforts over the last couple of years. And on the short-term rental side, there was effort to try to find compromise. They did incorporate. Oh, can't hear me? Sorry. Is that better, Senator? I'll try to lean closer. I said I've watched both the sides on this effort for the last couple of years, and I think there was an effort to compromise. That's included in the legislation to address safety issues, for example. You can treat them differently, but otherwise, they should be treated the same as residential properties. And sometimes when it comes to licensing, permitting, and things like that, you just can't reach an agreement. Business licensing, I don't think, is something that's appropriate for a local government entity. You have other codes and provisions that apply to folks, and that business licensing is just, I think, an improper exercise of government authority.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Nichols?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to speak in general, I guess, on this. I know there's been a lot of work that has gone in. The House bill, of course, has already gone through the House process, so this is its last side. Where I get hung up on 1263, and I appreciate the similarities in the bill, but as someone that does these in part of my business, I get really concerned about the $10,000 mark, because, I mean, if I rent something for $150 a night, that's only going to take me 67 nights to reach that amount. Mm-hmm. And so that really is limiting, and it's going to encompass a bunch of individuals that are going to have to start getting licenses to be able to operate. I'm also concerned, well, not concerned, but the requirements. So just in case people don't know, when you're utilizing some of the apps for like an Airbnb or a VRBO, they require you to have different safety mechanisms already in place. A lot of the things I think that we heard today are things that could happen regardless of a short-term rental or a long-term rental. And so, depending on, it doesn't really matter if it's short-term or long-term, you can have things that happen. The Airbnbs, the VRBOs, they require you to already have a contact that someone can reach at any time to be able to get a hold of the owner or the manager, whoever's doing those. So I just get really hesitant with the licensing and a mandated registration. And so that's where my hesitancy lies on 1263.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? Seeing none, at this time the chair will ask our secretary to initiate a roll call vote on the substitute motion, which is to hold Senate Bill 1263 in committee.
Senator Lakey.
Aye.
Senator Guthrie.
No.
Senator Nichols. Senator Burnt.
No.
Senator Zito. Senator Ward Ingle King. Senator Ruckty. Vice Chairman Lenny. Senator Foreman.
Aye. Chair shows 5 in favor of the motion with 4 against. The motion carries, and Senate Bill 1263 will be held in committee. Thank you to all who testified on the bill, and thank you to the sponsor for coming to committee. The committee will now take up House Bill 583. The chair will entertain any further discussion and/or a motion on House Bill 583.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Nichols.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send House Bill 583 to the floor with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
Committee, we have a motion from Senator Nichols, seconded by Senator Lenny, to send House Bill 583 to the floor of the Idaho State Senate with a due pass recommendation. Any discussion on the motion? Senator Guthrie.
For a substitute motion.
Substitute motions in order.
Mr. Chairman, I would move that House Bill 583 be sent to the 14th order for possible amendments, and provided I get a second, I'd like to speak to my motion.
Okay, committee, we have a motion from Senator Guthrie. Actually, it's a substitute motion, seconded by Senator Ruckty, to send 583 to the 14th order for possible amendment. Senator Guthrie.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, I guess we can debate as long as we want on whether or not the sides work together, but I will tell you that in a couple of meetings just this week, the proponents of the Senate bill suggested just a couple of modest amendments, which were refused, and I think they're amendments that may make sense, and I'd like the committee to consider the opportunity to fix a couple things. One of which is the line on 583, which doesn't require any recognition of the increased need for sewer and other utility capacity. Some of these homes in some of these areas the capacity is well beyond single-family dwellings, and the city has no ability to factor that in, not only when they put the infrastructure in, but how that infrastructure is going to handle it. It doesn't mean they would do anything, but I think it gives them some discernment in that regard for those increased infrastructure needs. And then on page 2, all it's asking there on line 29 is just to provide the county or city with contact information for a local contact person. I think those are pretty reasonable requests. And so to suggest that the sponsors of 1263 haven't been amenable to trying to make something work, I think is maybe not fair. I think they have tried to work with them, and I think a couple of modest amendments would certainly take a little bit of the sting off for what cities are going to see as a potential problem with. When you look at all the things that are remaining, like no additional parking required, so you have 10 or 12 cars there, and you know, private property rights goes both ways, and the people that are in those areas that have single-family dwellings, they have private property rights too, and I think we've got to try to do a little bit of work here to provide a little better balance. So I hope that the committee will consider the substitute motion.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Ruckty, did you have? No. Senator Lakey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, to just state, you know, how I feel about sending bills over the sponsor's objection to the amending order. I would consider that hostile. I'll try to be closer again. Just emphasize this would be a hostile amendment. I don't ever support sending another senator's bill to the amending order over their objection, voted up or down. Just a response to some of the comments, sewer capacity. I work in the development world. Your drain field's designed based on things like the number of rooms in your home, and that doesn't change with Airbnb or short-term or long-term rentals. They can have friends over, but you can have occupancy requirements as well, based on that home size again. And then they can have parking requirements as long as they're consistent across the board for other residential uses. So those things, they can put those things in place. They just can't treat short-term rentals differently. Those general regulations are based on home size, number of rooms, things like that should and could be consistently complied. So I would oppose the motion to send it to the 14th order.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on the substitute motion? Senator Guthrie.
Well, and I couldn't hear very good, but if you look at the number of rooms being a criteria for maybe sewer capacity, when you look on line 37, that the city can't require, they can't restrict modifications of physical structure of the property. So that tells me they could build that out beyond what it was designed for to begin with.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion on the substitute motion, which is to send House Bill 583 to the 14th order for possible amendment? Senator Burnt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This has been an interesting discussion. I wish it was different. I wish we had more time for people to testify. I've looked over at the chairman's computer, and there are a lot of people who have signed up to testify. We've heard a fraction of those people, and I think that that's our job. Our job is to listen. Sometimes we get a bad rap sometimes as legislators that we just like to talk, and we don't listen to our constituents, and we don't care about what's going on in our district sometimes. Well, and it couldn't be further from the truth. And I just want each and every one of you to know that I listened, and I wish we could have listened more. I wish we could have drawn this out a little longer, because this is an important issue. This is an extraordinarily important issue, and you have two sides of an argument that I understand and that I agree with. So, but I'm also a guy that respects the process. And although I agree with Senator Guthrie's proposed amendments, I think they're reasonable. I do understand that the sponsor of the bill, Senator Lakey, I would look to him to see if he's amenable to these amendments, and if he's not, then I'm not going to go as far as to say that as a hostile, bill. The motion was hostile, but I do respect the process, and I'll be voting no to send this to the 14th.
Thank you, Senator. Any further discussion? Senator Ward Engelking.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I think this is a really difficult decision. I also think it's an important decision, and it's being made by 9 people instead of 35 people. And I guess I've never seen a perfect bill or a bill that can't be improved a little, and especially when we have people on both sides having stayed at an Airbnb. We had 28 people in a 4-bedroom. That's probably quite a few, but so I know that there can be problems with parking. I know that we maybe could fix just a few things and make this acceptable to everybody. I certainly respect personal property rights. And so that's the dilemma here, to find that sweet spot where we're protecting not only the Airbnb people's rights, but also the residents' rights. And so this is complicated and it's difficult. And to be quite honest, I feel like we were done a disservice by not having the people that are really involved at this be able to come to some kind of compromise that works for at least for a short time until we can make it better. But so I'm pretty disappointed that we're even here.
Thank you, Senator. Committee, any further comments on the substitute motion? Seeing none, the chair will ask the secretary to initiate a roll call vote on the substitute motion, which is to send House Bill 583 to the 14th order for possible amendment.
Senator Lakey.
Nay.
Senator Guthrie.
Aye.
Senator Nichols. Senator Burnt.
Nay.
Senator Zito. Senator Ward Engelking. Senator Ruckte. Vice Chairman Lenny.
No.
Senator Foreman.
Nay. The chair shows 7 votes against, 2 votes in favor. The motion fails. The chair will now consider the original motion, which is to send House Bill 583 to the floor of the Senate with a due pass. Committee, any discussion on the original motion? Hearing none, the chair will ask the secretary to initiate a roll call vote on the original motion, again, which is to send 583 to the floor with a due pass.
Senator Lakey.
Aye.
Senator Guthrie.
No.
Senator Nichols. Senator Burnt.
Aye.
Senator Zito. Senator Ward Engelking. Senator Ruckte. Vice Chairman Lenny.
Yes.
Senator Foreman.
Aye. The chair shows 8 votes in favor, 1 against. The motion carries. House Bill 583 will be sent to the floor of the Idaho State Senate with a due pass recommendation. Thank you to everybody who took the time and effort to come here. We appreciate it. Thank you for your testimony, and we are adjourned.